we're back. Janine is still on hiatus, so I am stepping in tonight so that you have something to watch on your Monday night. If you're anywhere on the east coast of Australia, it could be a very wet Monday night for you. It's coming over where I am right now, but it's not raining yet. So, touch wood, we get a good connection tonight. This shouldn't take too long. I don't want to say it's a nice, quick, easy one because that's just setting myself up to fail. But it shouldn't take more than, say, 45 minutes at most. But this is something, I've done a couple of tutorials on this before, but never for you guys. I actually have, I'll show you. This is what we're making. Right there. Well, let's see if I can stay in frame tonight. They are little resin bead paperclip bookmarks. Okay, so this is the one that inspired me to do my tutorial. It's actually the first one that I ever made a couple of years ago. I have it hooked up on my laptop stand that my laptop sits on in my craft room. And when I was thinking about, I wanted to do the birth announcement shadow box for you guys that I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, but my local Spotlight is actually sold out. They had a sale and they've sold out of the size that I want. I don't want to do a really, really big one because that's going to take forever, so I wanted to do the square ones, but they promised me that they're getting stock sometime this week, so hopefully next week I'll be able to do that for you. But I thought these were a cool little fill-in. I actually had a giggle with Anna yesterday when I was pouring these ones. If you can see, please focus. This one has little stars and moons and stuff in it. That bottom bead is the same resin that Anna's girls were playing with yesterday. So I guess just, you know, great minds. But these cute little bookmarks, I find are very, very popular with organised people that use the planners, like the A5 and A6 planners that, you know, with the calendars and the to-do lists and everything like that. I'm not that organised, but I do like using mine on my books because I find that the resin ones are just a little bit too thick, and 9 times out of 10 if I'm carrying the book in my handbag or something, the bookmark was falling out and it was giving me the shits. So I found that these work really, really well for that as well. I did set up a poll to try and get you guys interacting a little bit more in the live so it wasn't just mine, and it looks like we're going with close results. There we go. Pink rose gold tonight. So hello to everybody jumping on. So for this, you will need resin, which I've already mixed up. I am using the Aldax CrystalCast tonight. You can use the epoxy that you use for tumblers if you want to, but if you are somebody that has both a coating resin, like a food safe resin for tumblers, but also a casting resin because you use a lot of molds, you can use your casting resin. So the resin that you use for molds is the resin that you can use tonight. But in my experience, in my testing and everything, I've been doing these for a couple of years now. I have tried UV resin. You have to use a mold. It does work eventually, but it takes so long. And then you have a 50% success rate that when you go to unmold the bead, the inside of the bead is still really squishy. So I would definitely strongly recommend you still use the 2-part epoxy system, so like a part A, part B epoxy, because you're 100% guaranteed that that's going to cure. Using the UV resin, you have a 50% chance of wasting product, basically. You can do it if you want to, but I strongly advise against it. I've never been, like I said, I've only ever had maybe a 50% success rate. And that was after hitting it. Anybody that has a UV lamp like mine only runs in 60-second cycles, and I have to sit there for a good half an hour, 45 minutes hitting, and my lamp is strong. Like my lamp's a 72 watt, I think. Never have problems with my UV resin being sticky or anything like that. That's how I know it's not the lamp. I just think because it is a deeper cast, UV resin is only supposed to be for like things like this, where you have thinner coats, not actual mold pouring. Okay, so we are going to go with rose gold tonight. I like to make mine up with one bead that's a pigment and one bead that's a glitter. So we're going in with, this is part of the Aurora series from Pixie Dust Pigments. That's gold in dusty pink. And then we're going to go with, this is called Showstop. I'm pretty sure it is a glitter from a lady that used to sell glitters, but she's since gone out of business. So I can't help you there. I'm sorry. But it was the only one that kind of matched my pigment. So that's why we're using this tonight. Had you picked blue, we were going to go in with the Glitzy Chicks Seize the Day and a MAC eyeshadow. And pink, we had Boo from DJ Designs, and I was going to pair it with LBB Resin. Is it magenta? Hot pink, sorry. So that's what you would have gotten if you'd chosen pink. Okay. You can do 2 glitters, 2 pigments, 2 whatever you like. I bought my lamp, same brand, 120 volts, so much different. I told you, as long as it's at 72 watts or above, solves any problems that people are having with their UV resin. 9 times out of 10, it's because their lamp isn't strong enough. Such a cool idea. Okay, so on top of resin, you'll need your glitter or your pigments, obviously. You'll need a resin bead mold. I got mine off eBay. Mine is a 12mm bead mold, and as you can see, I can make 6 at a time. You will also need 2-inch paper clips. You can get them from Officeworks, but it is cheaper to get them off Amazon. I'll leave all the links in the description. Yeah, in the description. I'll go through and edit the video at the end and put everything that I used and where you can get it from. So 2-inch paper clips. Amazon have them in silver and gold. You also need what's called a straight pin, which are these things. Again, I got mine off eBay. You can get them off Amazon as well. They're not the eye pins, they're the ones that have the flat ends. Okay, and you also need some kind of, these are called bead caps. Okay, and all your tweezers and everything as well. Okay, so we're going to start at the very beginning, because that's usually where you have to start. Robin, eBay. If you search, I know mine's a 72 watt, but I've had mine for about 12 months. Like Tanya said, she's got a 120 watt one. I know there are 125 watt ones. I have to keep remembering I have glass jars under my table, because if I kick one over, you guys are going to hear it. Okay, so we're going to start with making our beads. Okay, I have already gone ahead and sprayed my mold with alcohol. I suggest you do the same because it does help with bubbles. Tonight, because I'm using the CrystalCast is a casting resin, so it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So I had to use 5 mils of part A and 2.5 mils of part B to make up 7.5 mils. When I'm using a 1-to-1 ratio, so if you were using like Amazing Clear Cast or EX74 or something like that, where it was a 1-to-1, I usually only make up 5 mils. So 2.5 of part A, 2.5 of part B, and that gives me enough to fill this whole mold. Obviously being a 2-to-1, I couldn't split 5 mils into 3 bits, so we're just going with start at the end to be difficult. Yes, always. So what you want to do is, okay, so we've got our, this is called Showstop. It's not, I can't even remember her name. She shut up shop probably mid 2018 from memory. It's not Linda B. Linda B sold her business, and that became Kate's Glitters Australia. I've actually seen recently that Kate is shutting up shop as well. But this is from a lady from ages ago. But let's turn that off. There we go, that's better. So that's our Showstop. And then the Aurora range from Pixie Dust Pigments does have like a gold shift to it. I don't want too much. Let's see if I can get it to come up on camera. Can you see? Probably not the best idea to put rose gold on a rose gold stirrer, but here we are. Please focus. No, it doesn't want to focus, but it does have like a gold shimmer to it. There we go, you can kind of see it. And I just think that range is really pretty. And there we have. So that's what we're going with tonight, guys. Isn't that pretty? I think Mel is who runs Pixie Dust Pigments. I know that she did go on a break for a little while. I'm not sure if she's come back in full force yet. But if you like it and you send her a message, if she's got the stock, I just don't think she's getting anything new in. But if she's still got stock sitting around, I'm sure she can help you out. Okay. Now, I'm going to do it the way that I was originally doing it. Since Lindy, the lovely Lindy, has taught us how to use the little pipettes, that is how I would go about doing this project. Because I don't actually have any of them left, I actually did order some, but they haven't shown up yet, because that's the joys of not checking where your stuff on eBay is coming from. It's coming from China. So I'm just going to go with the old method of finding. I used to do it with a toothpick. I'm going to do it with my stirring stick tonight. And you just want to kind of load up your apparatus, I suppose, and then drip it into the bead. Okay, so while that sinks, move on to the next one. See how a pipette would be a lot easier. How was everybody's weekends? Do we have anybody that's still cut off from the floods? Or are we all safe and well again? I had to drive, and I kind of knew that I was pushing my luck, but I didn't realise how badly I was pushing my luck. I'm in Port Macquarie, so last Wednesday my son had a tumbling workshop down in Taree between 3 and 5 p.m. Now at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when we had to leave, it was drizzling, but it wasn't heavy rain. My dad did actually warn me that there was a big cell coming over. Me being my typical Scorpio self who knows everything and is never wrong, thought that she'd be fine. We got about halfway through the workshop and it started bucketing down. Like they were putting buckets down in the gym because the rain was so heavy it was coming through the corrugated roof. And by the time we left to come home, I don't think I went over 50 or 60k going up the highway to come home. Visibility was next to nothing. There was water all over the road. I could feel my car hydroplaning all the time. Is that what it's called, hydroplaning? You know, where you feel like if you're going... Me too, Tanya! When you feel your car going over the water and you feel it like almost sliding, like there's no grip. That's called hydroplaning, isn't it? Anyway, I felt that all the way up until about the last 15 minutes of the drive, where it all cleared up and I could actually go the speed limit and see where I was going and whatever else. It was, I'm not a bad driver, but I don't like driving in conditions like that. I had Logan in the car with me. Unbeknownst to me, he's messaging my mum while we're driving going, Nan, I'm scared. I think Mum's going to kill us. And Mum's writing back going, no, your mum's a good driver. It's okay. She knows what she's doing. If it gets too much, she'll pull over. And right. But I tell you what, there are trucks going up the freeway in those conditions still going 120. We had trucks flying past us. There was one at one stage that went past us, and he did so with so much force and with so much water on the road, he actually pushed us off the road over those, you know, the lines they put on that go da 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 da. If your wheel hits it, he pushed us past them and into like the safety lane. It wasn't good. So next time Dad says, "Oh, there's a cell coming over," I might actually listen to him, because that was horrible. I've only ever driven in those conditions once before, and that was to take my son up to see his other grandmother in Queensland. This probably would have been 2018, maybe the beginning of 2019. And the rain was pretty heavy then as well, but it was also daytime and the visibility was a lot better. Okay, so once you have filled your mould, what we want to see is, if you can see in this middle one, if I can get it in frame, see how it has, like, I don't want to call it a nipple, but that's what I think of them as. That little silicone bit in the middle, that's what we want. So I'm going to go over the top and scrape. So that we have all of our nipples showing. And it doesn't help that it's a pink either, does it? Alright, so then we're going to go and do the exact same thing with our pigment. Okay, if it seems like it's just sitting on top like that, it means that there's an air bubble. Yep, there it is. So just stab it and it'll find its way in. Does anybody, I mean, I know that we haven't really done much except fill the molds, but does anybody have any questions so far? It wasn't a fun drive at all. But yeah, I was a little bit offended that my son was messaging my mum, like, have a little bit of faith in in me. I wouldn't be driving if I thought it was too dangerous. If I was by myself, I probably would have pushed me luck. But if I have kids in the car, or friends in the car, or anybody else that's not me in the car, I tend to be a little bit less stubborn. I was going to say a little bit more even-headed, but that's not even the right. I'm not going to put anybody else's life at risk is what I'm trying to say. So I was, when I got home, my mum was telling me after he went to bed that he'd messaged her. I was like, fuck you too. Poor thing. Wouldn't have been a fun experience for him either. I can't imagine what it would be like driving in those conditions and not having control of the wheel, because you really are at the mercy of the driver then, aren't you? But I had control of the wheel and I knew everything was going to be all right. It just took us almost 2 hours to get home instead of the usual 50 minutes, that's all. Almost there. Has anybody made resin beads before? Maybe not these bookmarks, but does anybody have like a bead mould and they've made resin beads before? Okay, so we want to fill all the way to the top. And then we're going to do the same thing again and just swipe. Okay, because obviously the little nipple bit is the hole, right? It goes right up the inside of the bead mould so that you have a hole at both ends and it becomes a bead. Never made beads. I don't even remember why I bought the mould. You know when you just go scrolling and you're like, oh, that looks interesting, and that one looks interesting, and I could probably do something with that one day, right? It was one of those purchases, but it sat around for a good 6 months before I was like, oh, I think it was my friend Jamie in America that was making them. And she showed us in our little group chat, and I was like, oh, I could do them. Just going to go back through the comments. They would be good to use leftover resin. Yes. They don't take much, like, oh, I just threw out my things. But yeah, 5 mils will do 6 beads. And you'll still have a little bit left over. Probably not enough to make anything else out of. But yeah, if you've just done another project and you have 5 mil of resin left, like, this is going to make 3 keychains. Or not keychains, bookmarks. So I've just created 3 products with 5 mils of resin. What else have we got? No, never tried. Your future checkbox. You're going to put it in your wish list. Is that what you mean? I bought a large and small set of these to pick my own colour for pens. Oh. Oh, do you mean like the bubblegum bead pens? You bought like a big... Is that what you mean? Zoe says, I bought a large and small set of these not long ago to pick my own colour for pens. So I think she means like the, you know, the bubblegum bead pens. Okay, so I'm just squishing the bottom, making sure that the resin's all in, like so. This just needs cleaning up just that little bit more. And now that that's done, I'm going to spray it with alcohol again and put it to the side and leave that overnight to set. So, once you come back the next day, as I said, we've already made this one. So this is what I have left over. Okay. When you unmold them, you are going to get... See how the top is, what? Not very pretty. Okay, so you get your sandpaper and just sand it down. Okay, you're still gonna have that flat edge. Okay, so they're not I'll show you. What? See how it's not completely round? Okay. But that, I think, is what makes them perfect for this project, because they sit together a lot more securely with having that flat bottom. Okay, so I just sanded this one. I'm going to move these out of the way so that I don't lose where I'm at. Do the same with these ones. If you want to use your Dremel will probably be quicker. But as you can see with how much I'm dropping it, just by using this kind of sandpaper, this is why I do it manually, because I'm a klutz. I shouldn't be trusted with power tools. I still have power tools, and I'm not supervised when I use them, but probably shouldn't. Okay, so I'm just going in with my alcohol wipe and prettying them up again, getting all that dust off. Okay, now, the fun part. I'm going to move you up just a little bit so that I have more chance of staying in frame while I'm doing this. To make little spaces for bubblegum beads. Oh, that's a cute idea. I like that idea. Very cute. When you test it out, let us know and post it in the group and show us how you went. Okay, so, I forgot to mention, I think I put it on the start screen. You do need liquid fusion as well, okay? So, I always put my mica powder at the top and my glitter bead at the bottom. If you have a look at the one that I originally made, I've done the same back then as well. I ended up keeping this one. If you can see, if I can get to focus, see how many micro bubbles I ended up with at the top of that white glitter? That's what happens when you don't spray your mold before and after putting your resin in. That is why I now spray and I don't have that problem anymore. Okay, but your straight pin, so again, the straight pins were in frame, please, Laura. Straight pins are the ones that have that little flat bit on the end. Okay, let's see how long these are. I've had these for ages, so I don't know what the measurements are. And I don't know where my little ruler is. Let's use this. Let's see. I want to say 45 mil, but the longer the better because they can be a little bit fiddly. Okay. Alright, Robin, that's alright. As always, save for replay. Okay, so because I'm putting mica on top, I'm going to put the glitter on first, remembering that the flat edge of the bead points up. Okay, so I'm going to put the nice round bit down the bottom. Right, these sit pretty much even, but you will find once you're finished playing with them, the silver bit disappears inside a little bit. Please focus. Please focus. See how it retreats a little bit? And that's the point of the liquid fusion. Okay, so that goes on there. Again, with the flat edge pointing up. And then our little bead cap sits on top. Like so. It just doesn't want to do its job tonight, does it? We're all doing our jobs. Okay. From there, you want to get, you need, and I don't know the technical names for these, so bear with me. You need a pair of tweezers that cuts wire, the skinny pair of tweezers, and the pushing flat ones. Does that make sense? So with your thinner ones, we're going to fold over. Okay, so from here, folding over so that we end up with it looking like a hooked earring. Okay. I kind of know how much I need to cut off now. So I'm going to go ahead please, and trim off my excess. Okay, and then now this is where we go in with our ones that can push together. See how it's folded over? Please focus. Please. And I'm going to push that together. Okay, so we want the bottom. Sorry guys, this is really fiddly. And I'm trying to stay in frame. We want to push it together so that we get an arch. Like so. And now that will no, still needs to be pushed in further. Let's try with this one. There we go. So you want your curve, please focus, to then be touching, because then once you push that back down into the beads, those two ends will sit inside the end cap, right? And that provides a link, like an opening free link to then go on your paper clip. Does anybody have any questions? Because that's pretty much done. The only steps that we need to do now is, if you see our little end cap has retreated into our bottom bead, just to make sure that they don't go slipping and sliding around. And this end bit that we've just squeezed together doesn't come exposed, because obviously if the opening comes out of the bead cap, there's a good chance it can fall off your paper clip. I'm just going to put a tiny little dot of liquid fusion into that hole at the end, like so. And then you feed it onto your 2-inch paper clip and you have a bookmark. Ta-da! So what's that? Half an hour. Well, not including curing time, obviously. Half an hour to pour the set and put it all together. So nice, quick. This is what I mean. Now I can say it. It's okay. So it's not really quick because you've still got to wait 12 to 24 hours to be able to unmold your beads. But once you have your beads set, you can crank these out quite quickly. I find that they are really good sellers as stocking fillers. They're good around Mother's Day. I've never done a market, but I would imagine that they make, if you're looking for something in a lower pricing point, these would be really cute for markets, so that you're not selling, you know, everything's $50, $60, $70. These would be cute at a market. I just don't have the balls to do a market. So any of you that do, you're welcome to it. But there are little resin bead bookmarks. Do you have a book near you? No, not in here. It gets damaged in here. Oh, you know what I do have though? I found my mug press instruction booklet. Would that work? Hang on, move it up. Pretending this is a book. Right, it doesn't work on one page, so if this is the page that I'm up to, I always put the big part on the page that I'm up to, the small part a couple of pages behind, and then it sits out like that. Does that make more sense? And that's why they're good for planners as well, because they don't take up too much space. Does that make more sense? So they clip onto the top, but you do need to do a couple of pages. It won't work on the one. I mean, it could work on the one page, but like I said, I'm a paranoid person by nature, so I always make sure that I put it on like that thickness. Aren't they cute?